What's going on, guys? UFC Fight Night Garcia versus Onama just wrapped up quite literally 3 minutes ago. Onama got dominated, and I thought I'm a bit sleepy, but I figure it's best to get the post card reaction and recap out of the way tonight. That way, tomorrow when everybody's ready to watch some MMA content, I'll be there on the For You page. But we'll go ahead and jump right in. This isn't going to be too long of a video. I'm going to be pretty quick on these summaries. Start with the early prelim opener of Talisha Alencar versus Ariane Carnelosi. I got this wrong. For the sake, I'm just not gonna say it the rest of the video, but for the sake of it, I don't remember if there's an odd or even number, but I think I went somewhere around 8-4, maybe like 9-4 or 8-5 by the end of it. But I'm not gonna count the video. I'll just get lost and it'll burn time. But yeah, I got this wrong. It was an interesting fight because while Ariane Carnelosi was doing what I said she was doing by being very physical, she was doing a lot of clinch work. She couldn't actually get any wrestling off, as you see, and her strikes weren't landing. Alencar was actually beating her to the punch. It definitely looked like momentum was on Carnelosi's side, but then it felt like once or twice per round, Alencar would land something big, whether it was a takedown into a pretty deep submission threat, or I think she stunned her hard with an overhand right that Carnelosi just wasn't blocking all night and eventually got tagged with it. But good one for Alencar. She got the sub. It was a rear naked choke, and Carneloni had one hand here and the other hand back here, and was just doing nothing to defend the choke. So I don't know, man. But great one for Talisha Alencar, and yikes for Carnelosi. I'm not sure what to say about that, but we'll move on. Up the card to Phil Rowe versus Song Kyun Ko. I got this right. I predicted how the fights might end, like decision, knockout, or submission, but I'm just going off of the fighter I picked for now, because I wasn't a gambling man tonight. But regardless, I was very right. Song Kyun Ko was better everywhere. Phil Rowe was getting dominated. I saw people on Instagram all of a sudden switching up on Ko, saying he was boring, but he was efficiently grappling. He was in half guard, landing nasty elbows and ground and pound. He just wasn't riding out back control like some of the Dagestanis do, and you can see he was putting belt to ass when it came to the strikes, 124-11, and then significant 4-36. So anytime they were on the feet, Song Kyun would maybe land a good strike and then use that to get a takedown. I don't know if he had any submission threats. He didn't have any knockdowns. He did stun him pretty good with one shot, I think, full-blown stunned him, and he backed up against the cage, co-stunning Rowe, of course. But yeah, I don't know if there was any deep submission threats. This just was a really good showing by Ko. We didn't see much of his striking, but the striking he did display was good in setting up the takedowns he wanted, and it seemed like he could go with Rowe wherever he wanted to go. And Rowe is a jiu-jitsu guy, despite not having good, great wrestling. That still means something that Ko was able to baby Rowe in his guard and not fear any of his submission threat. Pardon me. But yeah, great one for Song Kyun Ko. Maybe we can get him somewhere just outside the rankings next. I'm not gonna try to chuck names out in this video because I haven't put much thought behind it. But yeah, good one for Ko. I don't know what's next for Phil Rowe. But Ko's not a bad guy to lose to. He seems to be progressing pretty well in the sport. It's not like he's been. Maybe we should give Ko the Magny test. See how that goes. See if he can beat Unk or not. But yeah, I don't know what to say about Phil Rowe. But we'll move on up the card. Alice Ardeline versus Montserrat Conejo Ruiz. We got this right as well. Alice Ardeline won. She won by decision. It was a pretty close fight. So in the beginning, Ruiz landed a couple good strikes that busted the nose and cut up Ardeline. I think they were just swinging in the pocket and getting to it, and Ardeline kind of lost those first few exchanges. But for the rest of the fight, she did not really care. These numbers just I don't know. I feel like strikes, definitely Ruiz was throwing more and landing more, but significant ones, I gave it to Ardeline, as well as I'm pretty sure she had takedowns, but I don't see the control time. Overall, see, she edged this round. She didn't have any takedowns, so she won on striking. And this one, she won on striking. And this one, she won on striking as well. Okay, sorry, my brain flipped these. No, these strikes are very accurate. I was reading that wrong. Apologies, I'm an idiot. But yeah, good fight for Alice Ardeline. Yeah, Ruiz was just waiting forward like a zombie. It was interesting to watch, but overall not a bad fight. It was pretty entertaining. Both women, like towards the end, I was like kind of cringing at watching the fight because Ruiz was taking so much damage, like just getting hit with shots over and over and over, but none of them were strong enough to finish the fight. Just enough to make me be like, ooh, like this is a lot of damage that I don't know if she should take because she's very obviously not going to win the fight. But overall, we got it right. That's what it's about. We move up the card. Ketlin Vieira versus Norma Dumont. I feel bad about this one because I picked Norma to win by submission or decision. I guess the strikes favor her, but it felt like, I mean, it was a split decision. Jeez, pardon me. There's so much mucus that is going. You can probably hear it in my voice, but this was a split decision. I didn't really give it to one female or the other, but I was like, Kellen had the takedowns, and I don't see an insane amount of damage on her face from Norma striking, so I was like, they're probably going to give it to Ketlin, but they ended up giving it to Norma. I'm not going to argue it, even if I was picking Vieira. I don't know. I mean, maybe Ketlin wasn't doing much of the grappling. It didn't really feel like that, but she had a submission attempt that was pretty significant. Like, I'm pretty sure she had her, and the round just timed out. Or that might have been another fight of the card, but yeah, most of these fights were pretty clear cut. I mean, this one though was a bit controversial, but I picked Dumont. She got the win. I don't disagree with it, but I can definitely understand people arguing for Vieira to win if they had money on it. But we move up the card. Dante Johnson versus Cedric Dumas. What do you hear? What do you say? Um, I got this right. Um, just that time off from Cedric wasn't good, and Dante Johnson's looked very good on his regional career, early in his pro career. 6-0, I think now 7-0 he might be. Yeah, first round was close. I'm having a hard time remembering this fight. It feels like not an insane amount happened, but Dante was definitely getting the grappling off. There wasn't a lot of strikes. But in round two, I think it was. I wish they said what kind of submission it was, because obviously, like, I should know, but I can't. I think it was might have been a rear naked or like a Darce or something like that. But yeah, Dumas was not happy to tap to that. It was a good showing. I mean, they were having good striking on the feet. Cedric looked a lot bigger, which I think he has like 6 inches on him. But Dante Johnson didn't care. Like I said, he was gonna get his wrestling off 3-1. There was a sub. I don't know if they count sub attempt. Oh, maybe the sub attempt was the submission. They just said it like that. But I mean, the odds pretty much told the story here, so I'm not gonna preach that I know ball. But yeah, Dante Johnson, promising prospect. I mean, I don't know how much a win over Dumas matters now, but still good look for him. Excited to see what he can do in his career later on. I don't know. He still needs to fight somebody who's like an active welterweight outside the rankings. I can't really name anybody off the top of my noggin. Or sorry, oh my god, middleweight. Why did I think, did Cedric fight at welterweight at some point? Middleweight. Yeah, somebody outside the rankings for Dante Johnson next. I don't think Cedric's all that. He hasn't looked too good in his previous outings, but yeah, good wood for him. Excited to see what comes up. Next fight. Timmy Kwama versus Chang Ho Lee. We got this wrong. Well, the strikes favored Chang Ho Lee, and the takedowns did as well. I think, yeah, the significant ones that were being landed were by Kwama. A lot of Chang Ho's were like small ground and pound stuff you can see here. Whereas Kwama was like looking for the head and body. He didn't care about the legs, while some of Chang Ho's were these. Yeah, I didn't know they had all these stats. I don't know. I never looked at that one. But I think it was the wrestling of Kwamba, and also Chang Ho just had really bad IQ. I feel like he had a so he had a really good first round, and I think he was dominating that grappling if I'm not mistaken. Like he had Kwamba in trouble the whole round, and then I don't know if he gassed out or something, or just Kwamba got comfortable, but he started landing strikes, he started landing takedowns, and he started putting it on Chang Ho, and his momentum carried him through the third round. And you see reversal because I'm pretty sure Chang Ho got the back and slipped off top position at that point. I don't know if it was a sweat, if he was exhausted, if Timmy was doing, good like Danaher shaking that you do to get out. But yeah, it was steamroll first round Chang Ho, and then Timmy Kwamba just the next 2 rounds looked good. I mean, I'm impressed that he was able to tough out that like very rough first round where he had his back taken. He was backpacked for a whole round carrying Chang Ho's weight on him, but he didn't let that affect him. And I think maybe Chang Ho gassed out his limbs just keeping that squeeze on because he was starting to fall down, and that requires a lot more squeeze to get up instead of just like hunching on someone's back when you're doing a backpack. But yeah, great one for Timmy Kwamba. Nothing special here. There was some grappling, there was some striking, but it wasn't otherworldly. Yeah, I'm not gonna have long descriptions for these fights tonight. They were good fights, but there's just not a lot to get into. There's not a lot of material. But we'll move up the card to Billy O'Connor versus Kevin Christian. I got this right. Dude, it's so bad. Submission, but I think he knocked him down right before. And yeah, he like knocked him down bad, and then locked up a Darce, I think, or a rear. I think it was a rear naked. And like the refs tonight were just as terrible as they've been. And I saw that they're gonna have a meeting tomorrow about it to not tomorrow, on the 4th, to discuss eye pokes and other matters and how they can like seriously punish them or like prevent them in the sport. But yeah, Billy O'Connor had a good first round. He was using his grappling. They were pretty even on strikes, but then Billy got him with, I can't remember if it was an overhand right or a straight down the pipe, but he rocked Kevin Christian bad and followed him to the ground. And I think he got a rear naked choke in this one. And he was tapping. This could be a different fight. Sorry if I'm, misrepresenting it. But he was tapping on the far side of where the ref wasn't. Like the ref was on one side and he was tapping on the other, so the ref didn't see it, and he was getting choked, so he couldn't say it. And the guy tapped like on the canvas and not on Billy, so Billy's not gonna feel it. And he ended up going limp, I think. I'm pretty sure. Not a good look. But yeah, great show for Billy O'Connor. I think it was Kevin Christian's debut. Too much too soon, like I was saying. Good win. Doesn't say a lot because I don't really think Kevin Christian's all that, but it proves that Billy O'Connor deserves to be here. And yeah, his next fight, I'm sure he'll probably be a bit of a smaller favorite, assuming they give him somebody of actual skill. Light heavyweight is decently good. Outside the top 15, like there's scraps you can have. But yeah, I don't know what's next for him. Maybe give him like a Chris Curtis fight. See how that goes. I don't know what Chris Curtis has been up to. I can't remember. But yeah, good fight from Billy O'Connor. We did pretty good on the prelims for picks, but we move on to the main card. Alan Nascimento versus Cody Durden. We got this right too. Now I can't remember. We did predict like a finish or decision, but I couldn't remember if it was a submission or KO. The thing is, Durden usually has a good first round. He did. He had takedowns, and he won the strikes. So I was right. Good first round. But then second round, things started to go wrong for him. And while he usually gets TKO'd, I wasn't fully paying attention to the TV as this was happening. I had something else going on. And he got subbed. Can't remember exactly how, but yeah, he got subbed. I didn't know this was a catch weight. But yeah, Cody Durden was looking good early on. He was aggressive. I was worried that my pick was going to be wrong. He was pressuring Nascimento. Just like weighting him down, looking to land shots. He was shooting takedowns, but it don't matter. Alan Nascimento gets it done. I don't know what's next for Cody Durden. I think they might cut him, which sucks because he is a fun fighter, but he just doesn't seem to have consistency. And the older you get, the more risk that puts you on the chopping block for. But good win for Alan Nascimento. Needs to tweak things a little bit. He had a pretty tough first round, I felt like. But, I mean, Cody Durden does have a good first round, so maybe that doesn't mean much. But, what was this a catch weight at? I think Cody Durden's a flyweight, so this must have been, like, 130-something. I don't know, man. Flyweight division's pretty shallow, but we'll see what happens next for Alan Nascimento. But for Cody Durden, I think that's the end of the line within the UFC. I'm not sure if he has any more fights on his contract, but I think they can cut you at any time if you're, like, doing really bad. But move up the card. Charles, say it again, Radke versus Daniel Frunza. This was a good fight. Radke put it on him. I saw people whining in the comments about how he was boring, but I mean, 163 strikes, and I'm pretty sure a lot of them were on the feet. I'm sure a lot of them were on the ground as well. Yeah, 90% went to the head. Like y'all are just whining. But most of them were on the ground in the clinch, which I get. But that's how you make grappling fun and effective. You strike and keep your opponent thinking about damage and not taking damage while they're trying to grapple. So he mixed it up. He put it all together, and he was looking good. I don't think Frunza had anything for him. Round one, Radke. Let me see what happened. Round one. Yeah, full steam ahead for Radke. Got all the strikes, got his takedown, 2 deep sub attempts. And the strikes that were considered significant, he won that as well. Sorry, that was round 3. I'm an idiot. Same story. I mean, all of them were the exact same until he got the sub. So great showing for Radke. Um, who's he lost to? He lost to Mallet. He lost to Prates. I can't think of who else he lost to within recent time. I don't know. Maybe like a Radke versus Daniel Rodriguez. That'd be funny. That'd be pretty hilarious. I don't know much about Frunza. Back of the line for welterweight, I guess, but it's good to see Radke bounce back. I'm a huge fan of him. But yeah, pretty close odds for how much of a one-way traffic this fight was. I mean, this round was pretty close, significant strikes wise, but yeah, this or strikes wise, but the significant was not. And it seems like once Radke gets that takedown, he's pretty good at keeping you there. I was watching him; he was doing a lot of chain wrestling, and he ended up getting the submission in the 3rd round, which is very hype. But we'll move up the card. This fight is very important to talk about because, not because I was wrong, but because it was allegedly fixed. I think about an hour or just some short time frame before this fight occurred, 4 massive bets were placed on Yadir, which like violently skewed the odds. And they're doing an investigation into that to see if maybe this was a fixed fight, because to be fair, the finish was quite weird because Yadir was going for the rear naked and Isaac defended it with his hands. Like that's what you do. You defend the grip, you pull it down. He's doing really good. And then Yadir locks it up again, and all of a sudden he's just not defending. He's kind of arming out, which happened early in the card, but I'm going to be honest here, in WMMA, like it happens. But in men's MMA, you don't see it too often, and I don't think Isaac Dolgarian has enough of a career for him to care about his legitimacy. I'm not saying that he's like not legit, but if this was fixed, there were signs. But if it wasn't, and those bets were just coincidence, and that's a damn strong coincidence. But Yadir looked good. I mean, it was full steam ahead. I can't quite remember how we got to the ground. If it was it wasn't a knockdown, maybe it was a reverse. There wasn't a reversal. There was no significant like ground entry, but somehow we ended up on the ground. Yadir got the back, and he was just on that rear naked choke, kept on it. Isaac was defending well initially, but eventually Yadir got it sunk in and got the tap, which good for him. I hope that fight wasn't rigged and he had an upset, but we'll find out. We move up the card. Jeremiah Wells versus Temba Garimbo. I got this wrong as well, but it was kind of the same story as Chung Ho Lee, where very strong first round from Garimbo. He had stupid takedowns, but Wells was having really good counter wrestling get ups. He was hanging in the grappling, wasn't getting submissions. He did get a takedown of his own, but Temba got a reversal. So it seemed like it was going to be pretty close, but Temba was a more experienced guy. But as it went on, you see momentum start to just left to right for Wells. He starts upping the volume. He doesn't get tired. He starts getting more confident in his striking, in his submission attempts, in his takedowns. And Garimbo just seemed to kind of fade. I mean, back-to-back rounds, he almost got sub 3 times. He may have gotten one reversal, but the strikes favor him. Temba just looked tired out there towards the end of it. He looked like he was like just trying to stay alive. I mean, 7-14, kept getting stuck on bottom position, couldn't get up. Wasn't a great look for Temba. Why am I clicking on his account? I'm seeing people joke about how The Rock's gonna take his house back, which would be hilarious. But I'm sure Dricus du Plessis laughing somewhere right now. Great showing for Wells. I don't know. Temba's got some things to work on. And I'm curious to see what Wells can do. I feel like I'm not too familiar with his career, and if he beats a guy like Garimbo, who had some hype for his recent wins, then I'm excited to see his next fight. But we'll go ahead and move up to card to the co-main because this was also a shit show. I wasn't a huge fan of Acosta, but he earned my respect tonight, and I feel bad for Delija. Kind of both guys like earn my respect, but I feel bad for him because it was a close fight. They were striking pretty similarly. There was a little bit of wrestling on the side of Delija. Acosta tried, and then all of a sudden Delija starts teeing off, and Acosta just doesn't want any of it. And I'm like, oh shit, Delija gets the finish. I'm cheering, I'm happy. And they're like, oh, it was an eye poke. And I'm like, there's been so many fights that have just finished via, like, via a foul or an illegal shot, like back of the head, or like every Cyril Gane fight, and they just let it happen. They ignore it. But not here. No, they didn't ignore it. They didn't end the fight. Waldo was like screaming, like he was like doing way more than Tom was, saying I can't see, but all of a sudden he's good to go. And the adrenaline dump for Delija I feel really bad for because we saw this happen a few weeks ago in Canada with Kyle Nelson against Matt Frivola. And Kyle Nelson got the win, but like there surely has to be a huge adrenaline dump when you think, okay, the fight's over. I don't need to be so twitchy. And I think right as that fight got resumed, Delija wasn't switched on, and Acosta was maybe a little upset, and he got the KO, and he was fine. And then he immediately sells it by going, ah! Like, if your eye hurts bad enough to scream, I don't think you can just, like, lock in for a fight. Like, you're going to be, like, wincing at it. Like, so it's a bit of annoying acting on the side of Acosta. It was a complete accident in the first one of the fight for Delija. So I don't think he can, like, try to mock Delija or sell it. Because there's nothing to sell. You won the fight. You know what I mean? If you want aura for winning a fight with, like, after an eye poke, I mean, it was like an eye graze. But it's okay. He called out Tom. I still think he needs to chain 1, 2, 3 more fights together. I know the heavyweight division's shallow, but Pavlovich beat you. So you got some work to do. Because Ante Delija, sure, he had hype off the Tabora win, but he wasn't one win away from a title shot. But Waldo did kind of save the division because Tom said he wouldn't fight Delija. And if Delija got this win, he'd be up there in the top 5. So I feel bad for Delija. I like him, but he just got slept. That's really all I can say. Good one for Waldo. Good on him for fighting through that eye poke. Yeah, good showing, but he's got a few more to rack up, and I think that was just a bad situation for Delija. I still think those are pretty even odds. I mean, he was even the favorite, and he kind of did do it. Like, he was looking good before the eye poke. He was landing the better shots. In that, like, firefight they had right before it, he seemed to land the more crucial shots. But yeah, I want the better for both of these men after this fight. But we'll move on to the main event. That just happened. Hydrogen Bomb versus Coughing Baby, this was. The numbers speak for themselves. Significant strikes, 33-2. Steve Garcia did not stop moving that entire fight. He was left, right, circle, left, right. And he would throw 1-2 down the pipe, and then he'd throw hooks, and he'd work the body. He would mix it in. He didn't even go to the legs. Like, David Onama got 1 strike off. It was a stiff jab, I think. 1 leg kick. And then, dude, Garcia just steamrolled him. And it was insane to watch because you felt like it was over before it was over. Onama got hit with a big strike and started to, kind of backpedal. He got on his bike and was receding against the cage, trying to circle out. And Garcia starts to hurt him again. He drops Onama. Onama runs away, and then he drops him again, and then Onama runs away, something like that. And then he gets him up against the cage, starts shoveling uppercuts. Onama hits the floor. Steve Garcia lands like 2-3 shots of ground and pound. Fight's over. Great showing by Steve Garcia. I don't know what he's ranked at the moment, but definitely I don't know what Onama is either. But definitely a big fight for Garcia next. I'm not going to put any names out there just because I don't know rankings and what. I'm not too familiar with featherweight bookings right now in terms of fights because a lot of them have been inactive, like Evloev, and they're still trying to figure out Murphy and Volkanovski, and Allen's coming back, I think, and they're talking about Lopez versus, like, it's a shit show. So I'm not going to try to match up these men, but let's get a upper echelon ranked opponent next for Garcia just to give it a blanket statement. I don't have anything else for Onama. I'll go ahead and wrap the video up here. This was like a good card. It was entertaining. There was controversy. There was knockouts. There were submissions. It delivered. There wasn't too many decisions that I remember. And I got most of my picks right, so I wasn't too mad about it. But I can't remember. Let me see. Let me see what next actually. Can I? I'm trying to see what the next thing is. Looks like it's gonna be Bonfim versus Randy Brown. Not a great card either. There's good names on here: Euros Medic, Muslim Salikov, the Bonfim brothers, Ricky Simone. Like it's a good card, but it's not crazy. So it'll probably be another week like this where I'm just not too like I don't have too much knowledge about the fights, but I'll work on it. But the week after, we're definitely looking forward to 322. But we'll talk about them when we get there. But again, thank you all for watching so much. Sorry, I figured I'd get a quick late night video out just while everybody's kind of hot on the card because it wasn't too strong of a card, so I don't want to lose momentum. But yeah, if you guys like the video, like, comment, share, subscribe. I need to eventually get a better mic stand so this thing stops slowly wilting on me. But yeah, see ya.